Hello and welcome to another Doctor Who figure review, my first in a rather long time. Today, as you can see, I'm incredibly excited today because we are taking a look at the 6th Doctor Regeneration figure. Now, a lot of people don't particularly like this figure for reasons I'll go into later. But to start off with, it's basically a 5th Doctor figure that's been retooled with a Colin Baker head that has also gone under some changes placed on the top. This was originally released in 2011, 5 years ago. No, sorry, 2010, 5 years ago. And so by this point we hadn't been given the Resurrection set, in which we had a Peter Davison with this clothing. So at the time, this is the first version of the season 21 costume. Right, after the background, let's get into the figure. First off, articulation-wise, it's the general 360 on the arms, 360 on the elbow, up and down there. Legs, the waist can do an entire 360. I won't demonstrate that because it's somewhat stiff, but the waist can do 360. You have articulation at the knee there. The thighs can do a 360 as well. And the hands, also 360. And finally, the head is very stiff, but I believe it can do not a 360, but 90 degrees from side to side, I believe. Right, before coming on to the obvious new paint applications with all this accumulation of dirt and whatnot, we'll go on to the actual costume itself. So originally we'd been given the season 19 Peter Davison figure, and so these trousers, new trousers, had to be created with sort of pink with blue stripes there, so these were added to this figure to correspond with the season. And the jumper has also been retooled along here, which is how they've done it is technically speaking incorrect, but I won't go into that into too much detail. But the pattern should be formed in another way. Also, on the collar here, it's green on the inside and between the two collar parts, which is correct for the season. So that's quite nice. Right, now, once I've done that, let's get on to the actual paint applications we've got along the side. So, basically, if you're not familiar with the story case of Androzani, basically Peter Davison, in an attempt to retrieve bat milk to cure the toxemia that he and Perry have been subjected to, he begins to roll around in the mud and the hills of Androzani Minor whilst he's being chased by the traders, I suppose. But, having said that, the amount of mud we're given on this figure is completely wrong. Not at all screen accurate. I mean, of course, he has got some mud along the lapel, but he's certainly not incarcerated as much as this in the actual episode. As well as, if we turn this back, you can see that it runs all the way down here and across the arm down there. But like I said, it's just a simple sort of swathe of mud down his left lapel, but it's quite minimal in the episodes. It's hardly as much as this. And also, if we come in a bit, we have this large splurge of mud there. I mean, there is something on his jacket, but once again, not as much as that. And also on the trousers, we have mud all over the lower part of the trousers and on his shoes there. If I just zoom in a bit there, you can't particularly see this on the camera, but there is rather a lot of mud. And on the back, there seems to be very little just along the side, maybe coming onto the back there. But like I said, I mean, he has some mud during the story on his coat, but certainly not as much as this. But, having said that, I mean, of course, character options would have been thinking, how can we make cheap little figure where we only need to make minimal paint applications, and this was their conclusion. I mean, I still really do rather like it. It's quite obscure, and it's nice to have a figure from that scene, that's such a renowned and venerated scene in the universe. So yeah, I think it's a really fabulous figure. But with the paint applications there, I will say this, I've noticed that there seems to be some differentiation on where the paint's placed. For example, on the chest point here, where there is that splurge of mud, I noticed that on other figures it's more central, as obviously they couldn't get in the same place every single time. But yeah, I mean, of course it's inaccurate, but I do really rather like this figure, and I'd say if it is possible, you should attempt to purchase it. But it is growing increasingly rare recently, and I only picked it up at Comic-Con a few days ago for £27 for one figure. But I definitely think it's worth it. I think it's a great figure. But to finish off, also, let me just show you a comparison to the Wave 1 Colin Baker figure, 6th Doctor. And as you can see, the Regeneration figure is quite a lot taller than the Wave 1 Colin, seeing as it's simply a Pete Davidson figure with Colin Baker's head. But if you do notice, there is some elongation to the neck here. Let's see if we do that, and then show you this version. It is quite a bit longer, but that is to be expected as they attempt to make it analogous with the size of the entire body. So if we just take this another column out of the frame, and I'll just quickly show you some of the detail once more, so you can grasp the full effect of this figure. And just open up the jacket there is quite a lot down there. So, that is the 6th Doctor Regeneration figure. I do hope you've enjoyed this figure review, and I shall be posting more in the near future. And once more, I'd suggest purchasing this figure if you do indeed get the chance. So thank you for watching this figure review, and I will see you next time for the Attack of the Cybermen set.